Welcome to part 1 of the OC Storyboarding Guide. If you don't know what a storyboard is yet, or lack a really basic foundation, I recommend you check part 0 as it will give you a fresh introduction to what a storyboard is and its basic mechanics. In this episode, we'll learn how to warp your sprites inside the editor utilizing commands and keyframes. Transformation effects, also known as commands, are used to warp a sprite by a certain parameter. These commands are needed to bring to life your images without them staying motionless for the entire time. To select a command, head over to the left in Transformations and select the appropriate command you want. After that, by selecting the sprite you want and adding a keyframe, you'll be able to modify its properties by dragging the sprite around. Like we said in the last episode, putting a keyframe in another timing connects the two keyframes together, and by modifying the beginning or end, we'll be able to change the sprite. Here's also a reminder that if you mess up a keyframe, you'll be able to delete it in the keyframe control panel. You can also put more than 2 keyframes and customize the commands however you want. Each command has its own way of changing its parameter and is displayed in a signature color on the timeline. So let's look at all of them together. The move command allows you to move the sprite around. Wow. By dragging your sprite, you'll be able to change the position of the image anywhere you want, even off screen, although it won't be visible. By holding shift when moving, you'll be able to move the sprite by one axis. Note that the editor's grid is actually wrong due to a developer oversight, so when having objects in the editor, it may not reflect what's actually in-game, so make sure you save and playtest occasionally. The scale command allows you to change the size of the sprite. By dragging your sprite up or down, you'll be able to upscale or downscale a sprite, although with a soft limit. The fade command allows you to modify the transparency of an image. By dragging your sprite up and down, you'll be able to make your sprite fully visible, see-through, or fully invisible. The rotate command allows you to add rotation to the sprite. By dragging your sprite up, you'll make the sprite rotate clockwise. By dragging your sprite down, you'll make the sprite rotate counterclockwise. Note that if you keep rotating your sprite in a single direction, each rotation stacks, so you'll be able to have multiple rotation using 2 keyframes. The color command allows you to change the color of a sprite. This one's a long one, so stick around. When adding a color keyframe, a menu will show up where you can choose your color. Each pixel of your image has an RGB value, or red, green, blue. These values range from 0 to 255 based on how bright the color is. By combining different values from each color, you'll be able to get all of the colors we need. In OSU, when selecting the color you want through the command, the game is using the lowest value between each red, green, and blue to determine the final color. In this case, we're using a magenta square of 255, 0 to 55, and a blue color command of 0, 0 to 55. When doing the calculations, we see that the red and green values get reduced to 0, while the blue's lowest value is 255 in both colors, giving the final color of 0, 0 to 55. In this other example, we're using a cyan square of 0, 255 to 55, and a red color command of 255, 0, 0. When comparing this scenario, we notice that the lowest value for all the colors is 0, which leads to the sprite being 0, 0, 0, or black. All you need to know is that if a pixel is white, the color chosen will directly affect the result. If the pixel is black, it will always stay black, regardless of the color used. If the color command is white, the result will be the same as with no commands, and if the color command is black, the result will always be black. This process is done for every pixel in the image, so be aware when using this command. Vector scales are accessible by hovering over the commands and will appear to the right of them, and they change the horizontal and vertical sizes independently. By dragging up and down, you'll change the vertical size, and by dragging left and right, you'll change the horizontal size. Keep in mind that scale and vector scale are not compatible with each other and will cause the editor to behave weirdly, so make sure to delete any scale commands when using vector scales and vice versa. Lastly, there are the horizontal and vertical flips. You don't actually have to drag your mouse for these, as they simply flip your image if toggled on. These are all of the commands available in the editor. Storyboards allow you to use every command at the same time and use different timing points, so feel free to experiment however much you want. One last thing I want to mention are shortcuts. By utilizing these, you'll be able to speed up the process in Storyboard more efficiently. Here are the main ones on screen. This is everything for the very basics of the editor. In later parts, we'll delve into the more complicated storyboarding feature, but right now, I recommend experimenting with your current knowledge and practice before going over the next parts. But for now, goodbye.